Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In a word, this video is going to be shocking, so stay tuned. When I first got this Jeep back in 2016, I wheeled it completely stock for quite a while, like 7 or 8 months, until I made my first modification. But granted, I did live in Florida, in Central Florida, where pretty much everything is flat and all of the trails are either muddy or sandy, and that's about it. So it's nothing like wheeling up here in North Carolina. And my first modification, honestly, was to take these stock Sahara shocks and replace them with some takeoffs from my buddy's Rubicon. I noticed absolutely no difference with the exception of the color. The stock Sahara ones were black, the Rubicons were red. Maybe they're a little bit stiffer, but I noticed absolutely nothing. And then in about mid-2017, I decided to go to a 4-inch lift from TerraFlex with some long arms, or basically mid arms because it's not a two-door. I went to a long arm 4-inch lift and 35-inch tires. And while I was doing that, I went ahead and got some new shocks because I needed to, right? I can't run stock length shocks on a 4-inch lift. It just doesn't work like that. So I decided to go with some Falcon 3.2 adjustable piggyback shocks, and that was the difference I was looking for. Mind you, back then I was really into the off-road but overland scene more than the wheeling scene or the rock crawling scene, and that's because really that's all that was offered up there. There's a whole bunch of camping trips out in the Ocala National Forest and things, but I got myself a roof rack, I got myself a rooftop tent, I even built myself a really tricked out drawer system and a slide system for my fridge. Actually at that time it was a cooler, but as you can imagine, doing all of those overlandy things to the Jeep made it a lot heavier, and that's where I really got the benefit from the Falcon shocks. Having the ability to adjust those shocks based on the weight load applied in my Jeep for whatever I was doing was the primary benefit. Now, unlike other shocks with reservoirs or Resi shocks, these are attached. They're actually part of the unit, so there's no hose or anything like that. And Falcon actually claims that by having it done this way and designed that way, the actual port for the oil to travel up the actual cylinder into the reservoir cylinder allows for 6 times better flow of the oil, and it reduces the chance for leaking. So why is better oil flow better for a shock? And honestly, it's so they don't fade as they heat up. If you're driving down a really bumpy road or you're hitting whoops at high speeds, those shocks are going to heat up really fast. And so allowing for that oil to flow faster keeps the oil cooler and allows that shock not to get as hot over time. And it also helps in longevity of the actual shocks. If your oil stays cooler for longer, your shocks are going to last longer. Besides having better oil flow, this shaft and the shock body itself are a much thicker diameter than most of the other comparable shocks on the market, the reservoir shocks. Now, I'm not talking about the high dollar coilovers and the Kings and all this other kind of stuff with the double throwdown system and all that. I'm talking about just regular reservoir shocks. Now, with better oil flow, a thicker shock body, and a much thicker shaft, it just means durability. And besides the adjustability of being able to load the Jeep down and turn the shocks to firm or soft depending on the terrain I'm on, that was the absolute best reason why, or the number one reason why I got them. But knowing that they're going to last a long time, or hoping that they would last a long time, that had me sold. Well, I ran the 3.2 series shocks for a really long time. From 2017, mid-2017, until about 2 weeks ago when it upgraded to the 3.3 series. Now, the 3.2s were absolutely awesome. The bushings were starting to wear out, and I don't believe that they make the same bushings anymore. I think that they redesigned the eyelet, but called TerraFlex. They're apparently looking for some bushings for me, so you might see some 3.2s for sale coming up here kind of soon. But until then, I put the 3.3s on there, and the 3.2s had 8 points of adjustment from soft to hard, but I had to use a 5mm Allen to make that adjustment. With the 3.3s, you don't have to do that. So on the 3.3s, I don't need a tool. I've got hard, medium, And then soft, and indicated by there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. And then in the middle setting, in the number 2 setting, there are 8 additional points. I can go 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, all the way up to 8. And that's a significant improvement over where I was with the 3.2s. Now, some of you may not think that this makes any difference whatsoever, but let me tell you, when you're taking a big, heavy, almost 7,000 pound rig on 40s around a mountain at 70 miles an hour on a 10% grade, the wind blowing around, you guys that drive Jeeps absolutely understand what wind can do to a Jeep, blowing it all over the road. When I put these on the number 3, the hard setting, that Jeep stays so planted, it's like I'm driving a sports car. So if you guys are in the market for a new set of shocks, I highly recommend that you check out Falcon shocks for your vehicle. They make them for Ford, for Toyota, for all kinds of vehicles, not just Jeeps. They are corner specific, not just vehicle specific. So I'm not really sure how much that really matters because, you know, us Jeep guys, we always change our rig and the weights and all that. But that's where the adjustability and durability comes in. They are not budget shocks. I think the set of the 3.3s is like 1,800 bucks. So you got to think about that. It's $450 a shock for 4. So yeah, they're not cheap, but they will last and they do have the adjustability, which is awesome. Anyway, guys, until next time, I really hope you're living life adventurously and I will see you on the trail.